This patient, Don, sought genomic testing in order to confront his chances of developing colon cancer. He is 48 years old, African American, and in fair health. He had a history of hypertension that is now well controlled with amlodipine. 2 family members had been diagnosed with colon cancer at relatively advanced ages, and an uncle developed lung cancer after smoking for many years. No other relatives were known to have any form of cancer.
Don, your blood pressure is under control. Good work on that. I suggest we continue with the same medication plan, with one addition: exercise. Physical activity will really help with your hypertension, among many other things. What do you think?
Sure, that's fine.
Have we covered everything you wanted to talk about today?
Actually, I do want to ask you about something. I had a gene test to see what diseases I'm going to get. And all I had to do was spit into a container, and 3 weeks later I received a report that was pretty detailed. So I was wondering if you can explain the results to me.
I see. What's your understanding of this test?
Well, I bought the test because colon cancer runs in my family. So I was hoping that this could tell me if I have the gene or if I escaped it somehow. I'm not sure, but I think it says that I do have that gene. So how do they know, and what does it mean?
I'm happy to take a few minutes to go over this, but remember, I'm not a specialist in genetics. I do my best to keep up, but it's a complex and fast-moving field. Okay, so here's how it works. Your saliva was sent to a certified laboratory to analyze the genes it contained, which are the same genes that are contained in every cell, in every part of your body. The lab doesn't actually analyze your saliva. It analyzes cells from inside your cheek. They isolate those cells from the saliva and test them for genes related to various diseases, like colon cancer. That information is used to calculate your chances of developing each of those diseases. It might be more than the average person, it might be less. Bear in mind that for most diseases, they can't tell for sure, one way or the other. They can only estimate the probability that you'll get a given disease. You have any questions so far?
What about the cancer?
Okay. According to this report, you have some genes that may increase your risk of getting colon cancer slightly above the average, but not to 100%. Let's take a look at this. The average African American male has a 4% chance of developing colon cancer. In other words, 4 out of every 100 men will get colon cancer. This shows the risk for men like you, who have a particular set of genes. This group has a 5% chance of developing colon cancer. In other words, out of every 100 men with that set of gene variations, 5 will develop colon cancer. 1 percentage point greater. Bottom line, these genes increase your risk of colon cancer by very little.
I guess that gene explains why there's so much colon cancer in my family.
All right, let's discuss family history. Refresh my memory. Who in your family has had colon cancer?
Well, my mother's father got colon cancer when he was 72. On my father's side, his mother's sister had it.
1 person on each side of the family. And you have a pretty big family. Do you know how old your grandmother's sister was when she had her cancer?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think she was at least 70.
There are some genes that increase the risk for colon cancer quite a bit. But in those families, we see many more people who've had colon cancer, often in every generation, and usually at much younger ages than your family members. Also, in families with those genes, we see other kinds of cancer as well. Your family doesn't fit that pattern for a lot of reasons. Your 2 family members with colon cancer were from different sides of the family, so they weren't related by blood. Also, they were older, and there's no colon cancer in your parents' generation on either side.
I guess that means I should start getting tested for colon cancer. How often should I do that?
I can understand why the chance of getting colon cancer is on your mind. You've seen it in your family, and now you have this test saying you have a gene that might have an impact on your risk. But remember, these genes raise your risk by only a single percentage point. You actually have a 95% chance of not getting colon cancer.
Yeah, but I'm not looking forward to all those colonoscopies.
Well, for one thing, colonoscopy isn't the only way to screen for colon cancer. Also, experts recommend that people start screening for this cancer at age 50 and repeat that regularly. It's true that there's colon cancer in your family, but your relatives who had it were much older. So I think that you can follow the regular guidelines and wait until you're 50. That is, unless you have symptoms like a change in your bowels or any sign of bleeding. Anyway, when the time comes, we'll go over all this in detail, looking at the benefits and drawbacks of screening.
So you just want me to sit back and wait to see if I get colon cancer?
Not at all. What I'd like to do, if you're up for it, is to work with you to develop a plan to do what you can to reduce your risk.
Like what?
For starters, I see that you've gained a little weight since I saw you last.
Well, you're right about that. I got a promotion to a desk job, so I'm not running around at work much at all. And, I spend a lot of extra hours trying to fit into the job. And I find it easy to pick up fast food on the way home so my wife won't be staying up late cooking for me. And as far as exercise, I don't get a chance to play basketball with the guys like I used to.
Well, this is a good opportunity to take some actions that could significantly lower your risk for colon cancer, as well as other cancers and diseases. I don't know where you're going for fast food and what you're buying there, but most of what they sell is high in fat and high in sodium and low on nutritional essentials like vitamins and minerals. Though many places now do offer healthy alternatives. Perhaps that's a place to start. What do you think?
You nailed it, Doc. I go for the burgers and fries and ignore the salads. I guess I could work on that some.
Watch out for those dressings, though. Some have as much fat as the fries.
Good point. I would have missed that entirely.
Now, what about exercise? Is there any alternative to basketball since your schedule has no room for it?
Well, I do have a treadmill, but for the last 5 years, it's been sitting in the den collecting dust. I guess I could get on it at night when I'm watching the news, maybe for a half hour. Doc, that's only 2 small steps. Considering the fact that I have the gene, do you really think it's going to make a difference?
There's pretty good data that being overweight increases your risk for colon cancer. By changing your diet and getting some exercise, you're going a long way toward reducing your risk. I'll make a note to bring up screening again as you get closer to your 50th birthday.
That would be great, Doc. Considering how I feel about colonoscopies, I'd probably forget that.
Completely understandable. Do you have any more questions about the test results? Have we covered everything that's on your mind?
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure. All this stuff is pretty emotional for me. I'm not sure I'm taking it all in.
Well, think about it.
Okay, I will, and I'll get back with you with any questions I may have.
That sounds good. Please don't hesitate to call me or email me with any concerns.